Hey, pool chasers. You know that feeling when your pool pole breaks in the middle of your route? Or, falls out of the back of your truck and gets bent and you still have 10 pools left to clean? I know you know what I'm talking about. It's a terrible feeling that I've had before. Our guests today, they've been there as well. They were frustrated with the standard aluminum poles out there, and being in the pool business themselves, they knew there had to be a better way. Out of that frustration, they developed the first ever carbon fiber pole in the industry. It's a pole that has revolutionized the way pools are cleaned forever. Think about it. Your pool pole is the most important weapon in your arsenal. It is a key component in netting, brushing, and vacuuming. All the things that take the most time at a pool and are the most wear and tear on your body. Why not choose an option that makes those jobs easier and that will last you 5 times longer so that you can continue to do what you're good at and not have that, terrible feeling in the middle of your route anymore? We've been waiting to record this episode for a while now, and we're super stoked to finally have Joe Sr., Joe Jr., and Ben here in the studio with us. We've really enjoyed getting to know them over the last few years, and we know that you will enjoy their story too. So please enjoy episode 104 with Primate Pool Tools.
Welcome to your go-to podcast for the pool and spa industry. My name is Tyler Rasmussen.
And my name is Greg Villafania. And this is the Pool Chasers Podcast.
Well, thank you all for making the trip here all the way from San Diego, Poway to be exact, right?
Yeah, that's where we're from.
County, San Diego.
Man, we got a lot in common. I wasn't born and raised there, but spent about 2 weeks there, like I said.
You got a little taste of Poway.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I loved it.
It is. It's a beautiful
Go back to episode
city.
1.
The country and the city.
Yeah.
And how long have you guys been there?
We've been there since what?
93? Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
December of 93.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're up there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We can no longer afford to buy our own home there.
Things have changed a
Things
lot.
have changed a lot.
The market
in
has
Poway,
changed a little bit.
I know things are crazy right now, but you guys go to the beach often, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, Highway 56 was not finished when we moved to Poway, and we just
Dirt roads, or what?
No, it just wasn't a highway, but but now we got a highway west. You can go to the beach.
Yeah, hard not to take advantage of that.
Let's take 56
Right
out
at
to
Torrey
Del Mar.
Pines Beach in 10 minutes, so.
I'm curious, what do you guys do for fun out there? I mean, San Diego is such a beautiful place.
Yeah, we're tourists in our own city sometimes, but what do we do?
Like lots of beer tasting.
Yeah, I like to go to the tap room.
Brewery.
Beer, smoking cigars on Sundays.
Cigars on Sunday.
What's the best brewery in San Diego?
Man, for me, I got to put Belching Beaver or Modern Times up there. Those are probably some of my favorite breweries.
Belching
You
Beaver
guys
is
have
one.
heard of those?
We went there.
They're pretty popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got one close by called Second Chance. That's up in the RB Rancho Bernardo, but right next door to Poway. Really good.
Second Chance is great.
If you go to San Diego, and you're up in our area, we'll take you to Second Chance. And
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I know, isn't the big one St. Archer? Aren't they in San Diego?
Ballast Point
Ballast
was
Point
in
too.
San Diego.
Stone.
Yeah, Ballast Point's big.
Stone.
One of the original. Carl Strauss, I think.
Stone.
Those are the big three.
Carl Strauss
Alpine
is-
Brewery is great as well.
We went to Stone one time too. That's pretty cool.
We should have done this interview a little bit later in the evening.
Oh,
now I kind of want a beer, but it's a little bit early.
Well, in about an hour from now, it'll be beer 30. An hour from now.
None of us are cleaning pools today. Just kidding. Maybe we are. I don't know. We'll see. So as much as I'll talk about beer, let's talk about how Joe Sr., how did you get into the pool business?
Well, I've been self-employed since I was 19 years old. I worked in a restaurant when I was really young. Then I was in the grocery business. Then my brothers and I and my dad bought a commercial building, and we opened a restaurant, an Italian restaurant, because we're Italians. We're full-blooded first generation on my mom's side, and all my brothers and I worked in that industry when we were young, Italian food. So my dad, we kind of take from my dad. My dad's an entrepreneur, and he always wanted to have a food business, maybe a McDonald's, but that never happened. But so anyway, long story short, we all went in and opened a restaurant in 1978. It's called DeMillie's. It's in San Diego. It's a landmark restaurant in San Diego, and it still exists. My brothers still run it.
Wow.
So
No way.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome. I didn't know it was
Really,
still
one
going.
of the best pizzas in San Diego. If you want to go get a pizza, go to
Love
DeMillie's.
DeMillie's.
Oh, wow.
Did you see McDonald's?
Well, my dad was, my dad,
That's much different than me.
learned the Ray Kroc story. And, I
Okay.
remember my
Yeah,
dad
yeah.
bringing us to McDonald's when we were, 10 years old, and it was like 25 cents.
Yeah.
No, it was actually maybe 15 cents for a hamburger or something back then. But
I was like thinking in my head, like fast Italian food, like
Yeah.
like a 99-cent lasagna in a Big Mac box. Like,
I transitioned ideas there. He wanted he always wanted his foot in the door on, like a food business kind of a thing. He helped finance a building, and my brothers and I put together the inside of the restaurant as far as investing. And we all knew the pizza restaurant business. And then my mother, who's born in Italy, we plugged in all my mom's recipes, for the sauce and all kinds of those kind of things. Being ignorant, we gave away way too much food, but it was just perfect for the neighborhood because the neighborhood just desperately needed something like that. We were like in the black in the first month by accident, and then the story just goes from there. It's really good food, but I went 10 years there. Just got to a place where I wanted to leave. I'm artistic. I went to junior college, art major. So I went to San Francisco and learned how to I wanted an art gallery. So I went to San Francisco and I learned I learned picture framing because you had to know how to do picture framing to own an art gallery. So I did that first. Went up there for 3 weeks and went to this school. I'll speed this up.
no, don't even think like that.
Nope.
I love where this is going. I have not heard any of this.
Yeah, keep going.
This is a very strange story.
Keep going.
I'm even
That
intrigued.
ends out
This
in
is
the
the
pool
first time
industry,
I'm hearing
right?
about
I'm
a lot
hearing
of
this for
this
the
stuff.
first time.
So I went to the Picture Framing Academy in San Francisco off this old French guy, taught me how to picture frame. Came back with that knowledge, started a custom framing business, and that was all in about 1990. And we had the Gulf War in 1990. If you look back, we went into when Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait. We went in and kicked him out, right? But that
It's a nice way to say it.
like George Bush says, I'm going in there, I'll kick his ass out. And he did, but it tanked our economy, So here I was starting this picture framing business, and I held on to it for quite a few years and did some pretty fun projects. I did the stadium for the Super Bowl in San Diego a couple times, for NFL properties, but the whole time it was, it's just like it was just not getting momentum. So here I was doing this, picture framing art business. And, then the boys came along and it just wasn't supplying the income that we needed. And I knew some guys in the pool industry. And I knew about the pool business, and I knew that, I could buy a pool business. So I basically, when the framing wasn't doing everything for us, I went out and bought a pool route. And that was all residential business at that time. I hung on to the picture framing business till we got to Poway, and I thought, you know what, there's more money. I'm making more money in this pool thing. So, sold that.
So were you were cleaning pools and then doing framing at the same time?
Wait.
Yep.
And this is back when you lived in South Park?
This is, yes. Yes, I
Why
lived
don't you tell people, not South Park, Colorado, as you might know, but South Park, San Diego?
It exists.
Yeah.
I had my frame shop at my house, then eventually, branched out into bought a pool route and started doing that. I was doing both things for quite a long time. I know a number of years.
That's a big hustle. That's a lot of work.
It's a hustle, and I
Balancing
took over the whole garage. When we bought our new place in Poway, I had this big shop and everything, and I really love it. But because I'm an artist at heart, and both my sons are artists, as you'll find
I used
out.
to like to help you in the shop too.
Yeah, the boys helped me. Yeah, and like I said, it just wasn't consistent enough, and I needed a consistent income and I was familiar with the pool business through some friends, and they were always doing very, pretty well. And they were always happy, they were pretty happy campers, and it seemed like it was doable. So bought a route and eventually transitioned out of, picture framing. And I kept some of the equipment. I still have it at home. My wife gives me hell, but I go, no.
Someday.
Might come back to it one day.
I did my,
If you like it
I want to
that
be
much.
able to still do stuff, because I love it, but I just can't be shut into a shop situation. I guess that's why I left the restaurant too, is because I just being shut into, one place. I love the diversity of the pool business because, eventually I learned to, do all the repairs, install all the equipment and all that. And you have a diversity of things that you're doing. And nobody appreciates it. Nobody knows what a pool, what it takes to be a pool professional, it seems to me. But it's been really, fun learning all that stuff. And so beyond that, I transitioned out of residential into commercial pools because I'm a glutton for punishment,
I was going to say you
I
like
just
long
love the
hours and
challenge.
late phone calls.
I like being, sitting on the grass in a park on the weekend at a concert, and then getting a emergency phone call.
Right.
I gotta go. I gotta get out of here and go take care of this pool. But I like it. It's provided very well for us. My sons both tried the part-time work outside Dad's business for a while, and then Ben jumped in. When as soon as Joseph found out, what are you making a week? Yeah, for doing this part-time for Daddy, and so Joseph, left his Target job and came to work for the company. And
Target.
Worked in the stockroom for 5 years.
Dude.
Yeah.
I was on the planogram team at Target.
Oh, really?
One time, yeah.
Yeah.
It was horrible hours. So was Kyle, actually. We both did that same job.
Yeah, I worked. You guys work overnight? I worked
Yeah.
4 a.m. to
Yeah.
2 p.m. that shift for a long time, just to get that dollar pay differential.
Yeah, the nice dollar they give you for waking
not
up
worth
at
it.
butt 30.
Yeah, right. But
So why don't you introduce
yeah,
your sons here?
so my son's here. My oldest son Joseph is here with me. He's been working with the company. How long have you been working with
I think
the pool company?
I started full time around 23 or 24 and turned 35 tomorrow. So about 11, 12 years.
Oh, okay.
Been doing it full time. Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my younger son Ben is here. And when did you start working with the company?
I feel like I've always been working with the
You've always
company.
been working. He's always been
When did
working
you start
for
getting
me.
paid?
That's a good question. No, yeah. When I was a young teenager, I was working alongside my dad
Yeah.
all through high school,
Mhm.
maybe middle school too. And then once I graduated high school, then I got my own truck, got my own route, and kept doing it.
So when they were younger and in high school, when I transitioned to the commercial, I gave them the residential that was really close to our house. It was like a perfect part-time job for them. They'd go out like a team, and
That's right.
knock out the residential pools in Poway, and then it's just a great part-time thing, and they're really, both of them are hard workers. They do a really good job. They followed all my rules for water chemistry and all that. So
As far
they're
as
both,
you know.
they're both pool pros.
I was about to say.
We've had a few mishaps, but
So I'm kind of curious, all three of you being artists, did you ever think when getting into the pool business how you could put your creative twist into the business? Like where that I mean, I'm sure that has a lot to do with Primate, but it was probably just a matter of time where that creativity would really come out?
Yeah, that's an insightful question from you. I mean, did you want to
go
answer
ahead.
some of that? Oh, okay. But because the way I see it, I know my mom's brothers, my uncles back in Italy were furniture makers. So I come from kind of a line of artisan people. All my uncles did something, whether it was like artisan type work, cabinet making, metalworking, that kind of thing. So I think it kind of runs in the blood. We were always creating our own specialized tools along the way, from the pool business. I don't know, Ben would make something, and
Yes, whatever's bothering me, I'm like, how do I fix this?
bugging him.
I like that.
And so, and then I forgot. I mean, we've made quite a few devices to make our work easier, and some of them are still like on the back burner for Primate now. So I think that kind of runs in our blood. And my sons are both artistic. They didn't get into sports. They, when they were 10 years old, Joseph would be making stop motion videos with my old video camera. Amazing, professional quality claymation videos, So anyway, bottom line, kind of a creative family and entrepreneurial, I would say we are. And yeah, we just have a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun making our own, tools and devices. So, when the opportunity to do Primate, to create this,
It was a natural transition.
yeah. So we kind of went, whoa, let's do this thing,
So you guys are growing up pretty much around the whole business, right? Did you go off to college or do other things too, like part of that?
Yeah, I went to, I had as my dad said, I was really into stop motion animation. And initially I thought that's what I wanted to do. And I just along the way found out I was more of an illustrator, which is how I got into graphic design. But yeah, I had some formal education learning 2D and 3D animation for a while. And like I said, later got into graphic design. And then I was doing that part-time, doing some logo design and branding for like business startups or like people looking to rebrand, and working part-time. It was never a full-time thing. Like it was always pool business was the full-time job, and art kind of took a back seat, or was always something going on. When we started Primate, actually, Ben's a graphic designer as well. So, we both had experience doing branding. So it was just a really cool collaborative effort between all of us.
Yeah.
Creating a brand. And
in high school, me and you, we took digital media production where we're making videos. So, even before that, as kids, we were making videos. So that was like a fun thing that we always wanted to do. And I thought I wanted to go into like movie industry. So that's what I was kind of like going into college. Taking art classes there, I realized that I really like illustration and design as well. So then I kind of stuck around my community college for a little, kind of like way too long.
It's kind of like
not really following the curriculum. Just like, I want to take this class, I want to take this class. And I took photography and videography and illustration and all these different things. So I've like kind of like jack of all trades, master of none thing going on.
Well, I think you might be master of all. Because if I could like brag Ben up a little bit, because these guys are really good at what they do. Ben's he's a professional photographer and videographer, so he's on the professional level. Why don't you what's your job right now? You should.
That's pretty much where I come in.
Primate.
Besides being a Primate collaborator and all things Primate, when it comes to photography or shooting videos, that's where I've kind of stepped in. We haven't done that much yet. I think we're kind of just at the tip of the iceberg as far as what we want to do when it comes to photography and videography. You're
gonna see some fun, entertaining things coming out of Primate.
We like to entertain ourselves.
It's like it's us. But we want something that'll capture people's attention for our marketing. But it's also fun. It's because the age group in the pool industry.
Yeah. And I'm curious, what is your thought process for this business? obviously you're not going to go to the store and buy a bunch of Play-Doh and do, stop motion for the pool.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
But,
Claymation this
Claymation.
summer. We got to do that.
but what is your, when you're thinking about, we need to make some videos that really resonate with our community in the pool industry, or we need to take photos that really, tell our story. What are you guys thinking about before you do any of that? And I'm curious because this is, what you guys do, because sometimes that can be a little bit tricky in figuring out. I know what I like and I know what I want to do and what I see, but where do I find that balance of what I like and what will resonate with the people best?
I think we just like to do lots of like dynamic shots, make it interesting, and show off the best qualities of our product.
Well, I think, when I was first starting, I managed the Instagram, by the way. So if you've been reaching out to Primate, you've been talking to me. And initially when I started managing it, I just wanted to make it visually interesting, but just started to think about, all right, well, do I want to just post a bunch of photos of the pole sitting on the deck next to a pool? Like, how do I make this interesting? So I just wanted to show the pole being used in action. So like all the things that we're talking about, we're saying about the pole, it's light, strong, can cut through the water. Why not show that in an interesting way? So, and Ben being the great photographer he is, I just told him, because I'm not a photographer at all. I'm like, hey, here's the shots that I kind of want. Bring the right lenses, I don't know, and shoot some photos of me. But yeah, a lot of like forced perspective shots. So, I was just thinking you really have about a second to capture someone's attention when they're scrolling through their feed. So let's try to show it in action as best we can and just make it look cool, I guess. It's kind of where we started.
I thought the Game of Thrones one was pretty cool.
Oh, thanks.
Like that caught my eye. I thought that was a pretty cool way to use it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, that was actually
That's only the beginning. Only the beginning.
My Photoshop skills.
Yeah.
So I've seen you trade shows and pretty much everywhere. You guys are usually together, but what are your guys' like day-to-day roles with Primate?
Well, I'm still doing maintenance, so I'd consider myself the lead tester, I guess. So when we're changing equipment, usually goes to me, and I'm constantly giving my dad feedback, and then we're taking that to the maker. Like I said, I'm managing our social media as well, so I'm on there answering questions day to day, all day, every day. It's the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning. I'm doing that throughout my route, checking in with people online, answering questions all the way until I go to bed at night. So
yeah, you do an insanely good job at that, I will say, because customer service is now moving to social media where people are wanting to hit the DM inbox or they're talking in groups. And I noticed that wherever people have questions or they're just maybe making a statement that's not true, it could be Facebook groups, Instagram, like anywhere. And I've seen that, you provide really good information, or you step in and say, hey, we'll take care of that. Let me know what you need. I'm doing, I got shipments going out the next day or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I think that, it's not an easy thing to do. People might not understand that, but it is difficult in having eyes everywhere and making sure that, whatever questions are coming up, that you're getting those things answered. So, kudos to you for handling that. I think I say that because sometimes people don't, take it as seriously. I think a lot of people should, because a lot of your customers, whether it's you do pool service, your customers are on there. You're manufacturing, poles, your customers are obviously on there as well. And just like us, our community is on there. And important place for customer service for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, Joseph's done a really bang up job on that, and that's been part of the growth cycle for us.
Yeah, Joseph really grinds on it, whereas I've actually stepped out of my pool route, and I took a job a few years ago at a University of California office where I do mostly graphic design and then video and photography. So I actually utilize all my skills there. Which is actually I've learned quite a bit by working there, and whatever I learned there, I'm bringing to Primate.
Yeah, it's a constant collaboration between
Yeah.
you and I all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're
might be
always
the one.
collaborating. We also live in the same house, so we're always talking.
Can't get away from each other. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really good though. You know, especially being in different industries and you're keeping those tools sharp.
Yeah,
Where you step back into the pool business and it's not like I'm a little rusty, haven't really worked on anything in a while. It's like this is your full-time job when you were doing this stuff. So
yeah. I mean, like I said, I've been doing it since I was a teenager. So doing the pool stuff. So it's ingrained in me. Like I could get right back into a route, no problem.
yeah, that's awesome.
And you kind of developed the logo and the brand and stuff?
No, that
both of you
was all
together?
Joseph.
Oh, it was?
It
Okay.
was collaborative. Yeah, I really initially had the idea of making it like a sports mascot type of logo, and took an embarrassingly long amount of time to make the logo. I think almost about 6 months. It was to the point where my dad was like,
longer than that.
"Dude, just throw a gorilla head in a circle and let's move on here." But yeah, it's weird. I mean, like I said, I've been doing it part time, and normally when I take in jobs, people come to me with a name and they have an idea of what they want their brand to be. So I have the boundaries of their set, what I'm going to work in. But making it here, it was like all of a sudden I felt like I had the weight of the world on my shoulders. So I was second guessing everything, and it took a really long time to come up with what ended up being our logo. But it was constant collaboration with Ben, and luckily everyone was patient enough with me, and we worked through it and got to the result of something people like. We're happy with
It definitely worth the time, So I mean,
Why- we can
originally
say
the
that
idea
now.
was, primate strength, the strong, really basically to highlight the strength of the carbon fiber tool product. Joseph has a gift for characters, and I'll tell you, I've got, our customers, are asking for, little. Do you have any little stickers of the monkey? They call it the monkey. It's supposed to be, I guess it's primate. I guess the gorilla, monkey, or whatever.
ambiguous.
But they.
Includes
And
all
I
of them.
have people asking me for little pink hats for his little girls because they like the monkey on the.
That makes me feel
on the
great.
hat.
Thanks, Bob.
It's like, can I get a Donkey Kong?
I'm trying to, but anyway, it's overall attractive, and I really think Joseph won't say it himself, but he has a gift for creating characters and stuff, and I think that one, it's pretty much a winner.
Yeah, definitely.
That was worth the wait. Looks
Thank you,
really
guys.
good.
I
It
appreciate
all
that.
goes together really well. I am curious though, are we going to see any one of you ever dressed up like a gorilla anywhere?
It's funny that you bring that up. Yeah, it's
Yeah?
not
I wanna
joking
see it.
either. Yeah, that's kind of good.
That's the Phoenix Suns mascot.
don't be surprised.
You can borrow
Oh,
the.
really?
Yeah, it's really weird. I don't know why. We're called the Phoenix Suns, but they have a gorilla. Super weird.
No, but it needs to be more of like a hybrid costume.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's got to be aerodynamic.
How are you going to do a pool?
It's really hot in here,
How are you
boss.
going to do pool service?
No, I
It's the
love it.
uniform. Wear it.
I think it's really cool, and you can tell that you're very proud of your sons, and we're now fathers, obviously, so it must be really cool to have that interaction and them grow up and enjoy it and enjoy being around you. I know you guys get together every Sunday and barbecue and stuff, so it's really awesome that you've incorporated that kind of relationship with each of
Yeah,
your sons
I'm
and you guys with your dad.
Lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I'm very, very lucky man. I've tell these guys over and over again. They're both really, great people. They're good people, in their own right, and they're fun to be around. And we're all artistic. I mean, we all, I think that we've mentioned that, and that kind of we thrive on creating, being creative. And since we created this product, it's now we're on a mission, to perfect it. I mean, it's a great product as it is, but we're still striving and working on how we marketing, because we are a direct sales company. It's a little higher price, so it's hard to for this thing to be in distribution. So we're basically a direct sales company. So we're working on those challenges. We're the creativity, we're trying to apply that to, I guess there's a couple companies in the pool industry that are direct sales, and the customer service, like you mentioned, Greg, we have accelerated kind of customer service, but that's fun. That's been fun to work on, the challenging things. We really do have serious challenges to get the thing out there, like we want it to be, and what we're going to do to get it there and use, the boys' gifts like that. But family business is a great thing, and maybe someday you guys will, your children will be working with you too. So, and it's a natural thing too. They become interested in what you do and they get good at what you do.
But you got to do your good job as a parent in raising them. And you can tell that you've all had this relationship growing up. I mean, it doesn't just come natural. I mean, you don't just come into the business if you don't like your dad or something, or you don't like, and you guys, I've had multiple conversations with you, Joe Jr., about, and every time you always say, yeah, well, we'll let senior take the floor. We'll let senior, I think that's really awesome that you respect your dad and you guys have this mutual respect of each other, even though you all have a part of it. It's pretty awesome to see. You don't really see it.
Yeah. I appreciate that. They've got the greatest mother they could have ever had, really. I give her a lot of credit, but we did our best, as far as bringing them up to be, good people. And,
me and my dad would always be in the workshop building stuff when I was a kid too. Like, I was in Boy Scouts, we would be building rockets and all these, and if I had an idea to build something, my dad would be right there to help me out. So actually kind of just going into this business feels pretty natural. We've always wanted to create and build things together.
This is true. We actually have a model rocket that's 6 feet tall, and we made it out of 6-inch diameter tube. And I guess when I had my frame shop, all set up, we were set up we wrapped it in foil, made our own cone, and it's got a cartridge that holds 6 E-size engines in it. So this is the kind of stuff that we get into the garage and do this kind of stuff. And
but that's an honorable thing, because allowing your kids to be involved with your interest in just involving them, that's not easy to do, because you wake up early, we're going to work, you've had a long ass day, you've had a long week, and to go the extra mile and just make it habit to include your kids in the things that you like to do, or figured out what it is that they like to do and involve them with it. That's how you get the turnout that you did. And you're all creative, but you're all creative in a different way. And I think that is extremely valuable in what you do, because when you're creative, things take a little bit longer. You don't just make a decision. It's well, this takes time. I got to think about it, and I got to strategize. I got to do all these things. And I think you probably all have a very good understanding of, okay, it's going to take him a minute, because this isn't something that just happens overnight. You have this idea, and it takes a little time in perfecting how this is going to happen. And sometimes if people that, aren't as artsy or creative, they don't understand that it's this is what took so long. It's sometimes you got to go out of your way and make all these, with the logo, you could have made so many different versions, but that could have been the first one that you had drawn or designed. And sometimes it takes you going through all those other places and then just going back to your original idea, just very time consuming.
Yeah. Exploration. It takes a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
Thankfully, we're all pretty patient with each other about that type of thing. But you're right. Sometimes you have to live some life and come back to something, and maybe.
Sometimes you need a good deadline too, though.
Very true. I have to say, Dan has brought from his University of California experience. He's brought some good. He's bringing some good business practices.
Oh, he's by far the most organized person here between us three.
He's
it's a functioning artist. They're like a functioning alcoholic.
Bring some order to our meetings.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you said you're bringing this corporate thing, because that's what we did with the pool business. It was never it was always different ideas that we had developed from our previous experiences, and we obviously weren't raised and grown up in the industry, so that actually I think benefited us quite a bit. And we looked at it from a different perspective, and probably something you're bringing now with working for another company, like, oh, they do it this way, there's probably a reason they do it this way, let's see if we can incorporate that somehow and make it our own. So
Totally, yeah.
it's pretty awesome to have that angle too.
Yeah, it's been a great experience working there, and everyone that I work with is like really good. I've worked with academics, so like they're all academically trained on like how to get projects done. So I would definitely bring that over.
We need to continue bringing that in.
Yeah.
We want to thank Pentair for supporting the show. As a podcast for pool professionals, we know that when you sell products, it's your reputation on the line. And when they are Pentair products, it's theirs as well. That's why Pentair's got your back with their trade grade program, which supports your business and reputation by offering exclusive tools and support for lead generation, attractive product rebates and longer warranties, and an unmatched expertise when it comes to accurate equipment selection, setup, and service. So to learn more about how trade grade protects, empowers, and helps your business grow, visit pentair.com/trade grade. That's pentair.com/trade grade, or click the link below.
So how did the pole come about? I mean, was it one of those ideas of how to make it better you guys were kind of talking about, or what happened besides the carbon fiber thing?
Well, it came about, as I said, made friends with a guy and has a multi-generational business making tubing, mostly tubing products, carbon fiber tubing. We started developing it. We started using it in our own commercial pool business.
Was the reason behind that you just didn't like the current poles you had?
Yeah.
What was the reasoning behind wanting to start that business?
Yeah, alongside that, I'd used aluminum poles for 20 plus years and dealt with all the frustrations that come along with using those products. Can't find I liked the one that had the internal cam lock and then an external compression lock, and I couldn't find the parts to. I'm a very conservative person. I would rebuild them. I'd make it last as long as I could. Just kill me if I had to go buy another pole, so to speak. But and then I did notice that gauge of the metal was thinning out, and I'm going, this is just not the same. It's and I can't find parts to rebuild it, and it doesn't rebuild well. And I trim and re-drill the front end and that kind of thing, make it last as long as I could. When I had the opportunity to build this new pole, the idea was to design out all the frustrations that we had with using our aluminum products. Every person that comes up to us at the trade show, do you carry a channel lock with you? When your pole freezes, your cam lock freezes up. Yeah, okay. Or you have to go out to your truck to, unlock the thing. It's just all these common ailments. And then there's the weight. The stronger the stronger pole you want, it gets heavier and heavier. So you have that. So we had the chance to work on this, with carbon fiber tubing. We wanted to design out all those, wanted a real quick and easy way to extend the lock and lock the pole. That was one thing. And then by nature, carbon fiber, which is basically a brand in itself, everybody knows it's, it's strong. It's 5 times stronger than aluminum, and it weighs the same or less. So, so working on the, better locking mechanism and working on something that could be durable, because you really beat up your tools in the pool industry. We started on that pathway, what was it, in 2014. And we thought we beat the pole up pretty good because we have 30-inch hammerhead vacs in our company.
Yeah.
And once we released it out there, we found out there's some animals out there in the pool industry. It was like, you did what? 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 So, we started, strengthening the tool end of the pole. We eventually we started coating the outside of the tubes with really hard baked fiberglass coating because carbon fiber doesn't like to be scuffed and scratched. That's basically how you cut carbon fiber like you would cut glass or ceramic. You grind it, and it's that hard. So if you're out there scraping it against coping and whatnot, not good. So we developed this pole over time, made a lot of changes to it. Like I said, strengthened the tool end of it. It's at the outside of the tubes are all coated with like baked fiberglass. It's baked with the whole mandrel and everything in the oven.
Like you said, we were all pretty frustrated with the limitations of standard aluminum poles.
The frustrations we were all dealing with really just influenced the simplicity of the pole. I mean, like you said, we're kind of tired of dealing with unscrewing, working with cam locks and all of those things taking multiple movements and
also
whatnot.
Getting like a slight bend in the pole.
Right, that's another thing. Carbon fiber doesn't dent or warp, which is, a huge, I don't know how many times I've walked out of SCP with a brand new aluminum pole and then falls out of my car and run over it and it's done. So, or, walking into one of your accounts and getting the pole caught in the gate and bending it. It's like, well, you don't have to deal with that anymore with carbon fiber.
The inner pole doesn't fit in quite as well.
Right, right. So, like my dad said, I think it was mostly designing out all of those little frustrations that, all the pool guys deal with day to day. And, yeah.
And the coolest thing is you're actually in the pool service business. What was it like with the first prototype you ever made? Was it like night and day?
Well, pretty much. We made it elliptical, so we did start making an elliptical shaped pole that was, like a cam lock design. And I still have it in my backyard. That's my pole.
The very first
for my
awesome.
pool, yeah. and it had like a standard aluminum end, and we wrapped that with Kevlar. I think we wrapped it with Kevlar.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Kevlar doesn't drill very well, so otherwise we'd probably use it more. But then we wrap the outside of it with like some really thick rubber grip stuff, and it's really a cool pole. It's just old, but
hard to mass produce that.
Yeah, it's really hard, but eventually we quickly came to the realization that this is what the pool industry is used to. I mean, we just can't completely dramatically, change the design of the way a telescoping pole works. So we basically, we followed the basic design of aluminum poles that you see out there. It goes from your largest tube is the tool end, and it goes smaller and smaller. But
when you used it in the field, I mean, you didn't want to give it back, you said earlier, right?
Yeah. When I used my first prototype, I put down my 12 by 24, foot aluminum pole, which is really heavy, and I had to store it. You had to store it in the equipment room on location. But I used the prototype for about a week, and what I realized is the strength to weight ratio and transferring how much more energy transfers to my tools. If I was reaching out brushing or reaching out vacuuming, you know what your limitations are with aluminum. You just don't reach out that far because a thing's going to sag off and give. And here I am, and I'm brushing like 15 feet ahead of me. I'm going, whoa, this is really good.
I think it was some of those qualities we honestly didn't even expect when we were first making it, like the rigidity of the pole, and you don't have to use your body to like compensate for the weakness of the pole. That made such a huge difference on our backs and just different aspects of it, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah. Yep.
And we were just kind of, it's when we started using our own poles, I think I noticed the biggest difference when I had to go back to an aluminum pole and use it. And then that's really where I'm like, oh man, I don't want to use this.
Yeah, get this out of my hands.
Yeah, and you can see a huge difference. And I think To me, when I see Primate Pole, it looks like a trade industry, a quality tool, something that a tradesman would be proud of, something that you really take care of. Because when you have something that's cheap, we're laughing earlier, Tyler, that, if you walk in through a backyard and a customer's got the same pole that you have, that's probably an issue.
Problem.
Oh man, you got the same tabs, you got the same test kit, man, you got all the same. We must shop at the same place. That's probably, unless he's a pool guy, probably got a problem right there. But I think that's a whole nother level of it. If you have a team and you could explain the quality of this tool, and it's like, take care of this, trust you. This is a huge investment having this pole, but this is the most important tool that you have in your truck, because this is skimming, this is netting. I mean, shit goes south, you could save a cat from a tree if you need to. But just having something of that quality, and it's already, you have a caddy or you've got chemicals, all that stuff is so heavy, but you can depend on a pole to actually be light. Like, I think that, that is pretty incredible. But a lot of it is in our heads, because sometimes there was times where the tools that I had in my truck, I was not really proud of being a pool guy. I really wasn't. It was just I'd probably get looked down on. And that maybe is just the way that I'm thinking, but it's how do I stand out? Clean vehicle, dress nice. That's what, some of these other trades are doing. But then you're getting into the tools, it's that is another element. And when you have a carbon fiber pole and it's got this cool grip on it, that brings a whole nother element to the whole thing, and was that something you were ever thinking about? Was that, you're actually building a piece for a trade?
Well, in the beginning, it was kind of like a dream, comparing it to what we were using. And it's wouldn't it be so much better if we could have such and such a tool or such and such a pole, which we're talking about carbon fiber. Even back in the day where I had no idea what carbon fiber was, we knew enough of it there. That was the material to go for, because that would be the lightest, strongest material. So we gradually come to the conclusions that you're mentioning is, it is created another product category in the pool industry that nobody really dared to do. And because we made a telescoping pole out of carbon fiber, and then, which in the past, everybody just assumed, oh, well, that would be way too expensive. Nobody would buy it. I had the owner of one of the largest aluminum telescoping poles come up to me in Atlantic City and shake my hand and say, well, congratulations, you did what nobody else thought could be done in the pool industry. You're selling a pole, for $200 to the pool industry guys. So,
that's awesome.
And, we're just making this great tool, but then slowly but surely we realize what you're saying is that, yeah, it does make sense. You would want to have the best. Why wouldn't you want to have, this is the thing you've got in your hands all day long. Why wouldn't you want to have the best tool, possible pole that you could possibly make?
Hey, let's put it this way. You put a Fitbit on every tool that you have, I guarantee at the end of the day, that pole is going to rack up the most steps. Wouldn't be steps, but it's definitely doing the most. Because if you really think about it, and when we're doing research before the interviews and really start diving into it, and we start thinking about this pole, and it's damn, you don't realize that is the one thing that you're always going to use. It is, there's some things you can get away with not using, but every pool has to be brushed. Every pool has to be skimmed. No matter what. There's not a whole, but what you're doing with it, you're actually beating this thing up every single time. It's on a wall. It's being hucked out into the water. A lot of other things are just being used as a quick tool, whereas this thing is being thrown around, which is, I think, completely different.
Absolutely. So you hear about guys that do construction framing buying $500 titanium hammers, framing hammer. Well, yeah, I could go buy one at Home Depot and, you know, go through them like crazy, but it's the same kind of thought, you know. If you're hammering nails all day long, you're going to want you want the best tool that you could possibly have, and
it's arguably the most important tool. I mean,
the benefits just come off of it.
I think just in general, having a tool that you take pride in and you feel good using, it changes how you feel about doing your work.
Absolutely.
Too.
Yeah.
I mean, that just goes for anything, even for like when we're doing art stuff. Like, if I have like a cool pencil that I'm using to draw with, like that makes me, I don't know, there's something to that, like having like a nice thing that you're holding and doing your work with.
Yeah, you know the difference between an Apple Pencil and every other pencil for the iPad Pro is shit. Yeah. And it is definitely like 4 or 5 times the price, but you write with Apple Pencil, like, damn, that is slick.
Yeah.
Everything else, because I'm buying another pencil for my daughters because they're artists and they love drawing.
You got to save up for 6 months.
I'm like, shit. Because I'm like buying all these, I'm taking them back, I'm trying them out, and I'm like, okay, this one was a little bit more. Hopefully it's better.
Yeah.
I'm like, none of these are the Apple Pencil, which is the most expensive one.
Yeah.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah, exactly. After a while, you just kind of get that. It's like, you know what, I'm just going to skip all the other ones and what's the best one out there? What's going to last a long time?
Yeah. You were talking about like teams and buying them for your team and stuff. That I worked for this window cleaning company, and she gave us like Home Depot bucket with like the worst window cleaning pools. But this is in North Scottsdale, like way up north, where all the huge homes are with all these huge glass windows. And she ran this company, and I don't know why she did it, whatever the reason is, but like we didn't get real good tools. And as I did that job for like 2.5 years, and about 3 or 4 months into it, I'm like, these are the worst. Like, there's got to be something better. So I did all my own research, and I went and bought my own like belt, my own pole, my own swivel handles, and that job became so much easier. And I like asked, why didn't you just give us this stuff in the beginning? And she's like, well, I don't want to spend the money if, you know, they're not going to last. I'm like, yeah, but you got this high-end product, you know, and if you're in pool service and you want to get the right clients, you're selling a high-end pool service product. Like, you have to have the right tools to do the job. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. And I thought that was pretty insane. And we incorporated that a lot in Brothers, where it was like, yeah, but we could buy them that cheap thing, but that's going to break 2 times, you know, in like 6 months. So why not buy them a little bit more expensive thing, or why not give them? And then we also, I think, always listened to the guys, and we decided, you know, if you want something, like, just tell us. And I don't know that I can buy it right away, but, you know, I will get it for you, or we will get it for you whenever like the opportunity comes, if that's what will make your day and your job better and easier. And I think that really went a long way with our guys, like that we would always were open to giving them what they needed to do the best job out there. And I think
absolutely.
having a quality pole that lasts, you know, because we did, Kyle, have to run people poles where they would break sometimes, you know, like you said, fall off your truck or bend, or we'd have to run them out poles here and there, or just, you know, buy new ones every, I don't know, we probably bought a whole set every trade show we went to. It's like, so, you know, it's an important thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's you've got companies in San Diego, and I'm one of them. I guess we had like 4 hammerheads at one time, you know, and that's a $2,000 piece of equipment.
Yeah.
But I know, you know, if I send my guys out to do, you know, 60,000 gallon pool, they're going to knock it out a lot faster, you know, as long as they take care of that, you know, because you've got to enforce that. But I see other companies doing the same thing. You know, they're taking care of every one of their employees has, you know, riptide, hammerhead, and they realize the value of it, you know, completely.
For sure.
So we talked to Dave and Matt about how their Riptide Pool Vacuum is transforming the swimming pool industry in episode 86. Have you listened to it yet? If not, what are you waiting for? The Riptide Vacuum has many innovative features such as a locking bag ring, a quick disconnect power cable, a 10-year warranty on the vacuum case, and much more. We all know that efficiency is key in our industry, and the Riptide will greatly increase your productivity. The Riptide can filter all the way down to 60 micron for fine debris and is a beast when it comes to heavy debris and leaves. So start working easier and get through your route faster today. To order your Riptide vacuum, Head on over to riptievac.com, where they even offer 0% financing to qualified buyers. And as a special bonus to our listeners, you can use coupon code POOLCHASERS during checkout to get free shipping and 2 free vacuum bags.
So let's talk about that $200 price tag a little bit, because I'm sure, like Greg said earlier, when we first met you guys, I think it was 2-3 years ago in the Western show, right? Mm-hmm. And like when we first saw it, we were like $200, like, man. And then now obviously we've done a lot of research to understand, but I'm sure that's the reaction you get quite a bit at the trade shows sometimes, of like, man, that's much more than I spend. So let's talk about why, what justifies that price point.
Well, it's actually $220, Tyler.
All right. Pull that extra 20 out of my wallet.
But I'll give you my pat answer, and it's a true answer. And it's like you're not used to putting out that much money up front for your pole. You're overall, you're not going you're spending maybe $50 at a time, but you're doing that 2-3 times a year. Some guys, 4 times a year, or $80, $90 twice a year. Okay, so that's your pole cost. That's your pole expense per year. So, we get the question all the time, and justifiably, but you're not going to spend any more over time. You're spending more up front. I would rephrase it. What justifies me spending $225 up front? Well, it's not going to cost you any more per annually for your pole. Because if you're using, like most people, you're using 2 or 3 $50 poles, this thing's going to last you 3 or 4 times as long as that aluminum pole. Yeah. Or if you're going through a couple $90 poles, you've already, if you can keep this thing for 2 years, which you can, if you take care of it, you may end up spending less money, and having a better tool all along the way. So it's a different way of thinking. Change is hard. We human beings, we just don't like change. We get used to certain ways and, doing things. And when change comes, it's just one of those things. We knew we would run into it, bringing this, trying to improve and introduce this into the pool industry. It's just so much, it's so much more expensive. We're very set on, making it here in the United States for a lot of different reasons, but it's for the top reason is our manufacturer is a 30-year carbon fiber expert. He invented the machine that 80% of your golf shafts in the world are made by the machine that my manufacturer invented. And so and also he has, our proprietary methods are used, with our manufacturer. It's aerospace grade carbon fiber. It's hand laid out. Won't tell you how it's laid out, but it's hand laid. And it's done in a way that all that 30 years of experience comes into play, because the whole thing ends out at 2.5 pounds, and that's not by mistake. It's the way it's laid out. And to get that kind of strength to weight ratio, that takes a lot of experience. So, that all plays into it.
Yeah, and I think the mindset change is really just the biggest thing. We all know what industry we're in, and sometimes people can be super cheap. But, you just have to realize that you're paying for it up front instead. I've heard you say that a bunch of times. I've been around you guys all trade shows. Yeah, the upfront piece is like the main piece you focus on. I think that's good because it is you're just paying for it quicker and right up front instead of over the life of a year and a half or 2 years or whatever it is. So it's just really the industry, like it does with many things, needs to change its mindset.
Let's be real though. What $220? What are you spending $220 on? You know what I mean? You're buying new shoes, a watch, That don't make you no money.
Right.
Very
you know what
true.
I mean?
Very good point, Greg.
If you think about the things that you spend, well, you know what I mean? Like I'll go drop $400 or $500 on maybe a snowboard or something like that. all that does is bang me up and make my life much more difficult. Yeah, it's fun, but spending $220 on a pole that you're going to use every single day and you're going to look good while having it, that's something to really think about, because especially at this day and age, you can spend that kind of money real quick. On Amazon, you could go through your bank statement and look at all the shit you're spending money on. And it's like, wow, I spent an insane amount of money on BS. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that's something to really think about, is when you're thinking about something, a tool is too expensive. Like, do you have that same mentality when you're going to buy a new video game console or any one of these things? And I think that's something that everybody should be thinking about.
It's such a great point, because it's so common. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, you go out and you treat yourself to whatever it is. And then when it comes to buying something that this is the thing you work with every day, it's in your hands all day, and you're going to chintz out on that. Doesn't make sense, does it?
It's like that shirt you're wearing and that you got a Rolex on and you're about to tell me Gucci everything, but you're going to sweat me on this pole?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what? It's the tough thing at the trade shows is this thing didn't exist before, right? You're introducing something completely new. And how do you describe the experience of using some material? This is, I can tell you it's 5 times stronger than aluminum. How does that translate into your experience? Well, I can't explain that to you on the trade show floor. You just got to buy it, try it, and then go on the Instagram account and look at, what people are saying. Like, this is the great thing that the forum Joseph's got going, because you can't explain the experience, but guys are raving, about the experience. They're really excited about it because, it's the only way to experience it. You have to experience using it, and it'll all make sense, after you use it. So,
and I think that's the best part. You guys have put in enough time where you can see all those testimonies where a ton of pool service companies are saying nothing but, good stuff about your guys' poles, because I still think that there's so many entrepreneurs, there's so many products, there's so many things out there in the world today that sometimes it can be hard to look at something with a higher price tag and like, is this the real deal or not? Because there are a lot of companies out there and it could be something in this space where they're like, yeah, this is a premium product, and it's really not. Like, it was. They were more focused on the brand or the look of it than the function of it. Like, is it built to last? Like, what do we have here? And I think there's a lot more of those kinds of products that are out there.
Definitely.
So I think it's a matter of, vetting, your people, your community. And you guys have done a good job, because I haven't seen anything negative. The most negative thing I probably saw was, and this was like probably a while back, is somebody got, maybe there's a defect in the pole or something, but they said that you guys took care of it right away. And they're like, and this one is flawless and I've never had anything like it. And that's the cool thing, is people like take the time to communicate with us. If you've had bad experiences other places, like, don't worry about that. Communicate with us, let us make it right, and let us make our business better, because you guys still haven't been around like that long.
No, not at all.
Even if it's 2014 or 15, like, you've got to like work with people, and that's something we all need to do a much better job of. Is like, you have this problem with a manufacturer, you have this problem with something, like, do your due diligence, speak up. How the hell do they know? This isn't the platform for it. I mean, it could be a platform for opinion, but don't be afraid to go to the trade shows and talk to the person, talk to the engineers, or submit an inquiry, to the engineering department. If nothing gets done, then it's time for you to speak up. But it's important for all of us to communicate with everybody that makes anything, and, giving a little bit of slack. Shit happens,
Yeah.
Nothing will ever be 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And we like hearing from people if they have a problem, or if something's not working. We want to hear it and we want to make it better. That's totally our philosophy.
That's been the great thing about getting to tour around and do these trade shows and get the pole out there, is like getting feedback from guys. And
So
it is
important.
at times it has been pulling teeth, because pool guys are just so nice. They don't want to complain. And I can't tell you how many guys out there have just, had like a very small issue and they're like, oh, I just thought it was me. And I'm like, no, like reach out. People are so used to, kind of getting screwed over by the companies that they buy products from that, when we actually follow through and we take care of them, they're like surprised, like, oh man, wow, these guys are the real deal. But
And pool pros they're independent. You're used to being out there, and everything depends on you. And when we'll run into this all the time. It's like somebody's living with something. Maybe their lever lock wasn't tightening quite right. Well, 1% of everything fails, whatever. What are you doing that for? Well, I'm just carrying a screwdriver around with me tight. And I go, dude. And they were doing this for quite a long time, a matter of weeks or whatever. So this is a frustrating thing. Pool guys are tough. They're independent. They take it upon themselves to solve problems, but, we do want to hear, we have a warranty. We have the only pole out there that has a year commercial warranty that you could call in on and can't, if you got a problem or whatever, if there's a defect. And we stand behind, the product. But some guys, they're just like out there.
There's enough improvising in the pool service, like job, whatever can be just a quality product and me not have to worry about one less thing to worry about. I'm all for it, because we haven't even gotten to the equipment set yet, where God only knows if I'm going to have the right tool or the right,
the
product
size
to take
of
care
everything.
of that. Yeah. So
I mean, the life of the pole, I mean, it's modular, right? So you guys want to talk about that a little bit, because you can keep it going for quite a long time too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of the things that were really important to us, was to be able to make all the different parts replaceable. We wanted the unit that someone bought to be able to last. We're shooting for like 18 months to 2 years minimum before anyone would have to worry about replacing a part. But and that's what we found to be the case. But we just, again, going back to like trying to design out all the frustrations that we had with poles, it's tough. If one part of the pole breaks, well, the whole thing's useless, or it dents. So your aluminum pole becomes useless. So we just wanted to make sure that every piece of the pole could be replaced at a independently, and for less expensive, so you can keep your pole going for longer.
are they pretty easy to replace those parts?
Very easy. Yeah, you can take your entire pole apart in about 15 seconds, you'd say? Yeah.
It's very doable. You could, every component of the pole, in other words, all 3 tubes, if it's a 3 tube, those are replaceable independently. Lever lock can be replaced, grip, and that's all there is to the pole.
Wearable parts too, they just like on a car, you have to change your brakes, you have to change your oil, you have to change, you're using it all the time. They're just wearable things.
And we have people
have to understand, like that's going to happen. I mean,
yeah, of course.
People do stupid things too. And they, if you break your front tube, you can just replace the front tube.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you tell people that your product is strong, they're going to be a lot more hard on their products.
We encourage them not to, we try to make a distinction that, no, we're not saying it's indestructible. Don't pole vault. We were all talking about pole vault. The first thing that comes into my head, let's pole vault with the thing.
They're going to do it. As soon as they get that thing, they're throwing it off the tallest building, and they're.
But you don't want to go outside of the pool. What you would normally do with your service pole.
Go spearfishing or anything with it.
Yeah, spearfishing.
Yeah, if you're not super hard on it and you take care of it, then the pole can last quite a while. Mm-hmm. How long has yours lasted, Joseph?
My personal one, well, I did have one going for about 2 years until this guy lost it. Fell off the back of his truck going to a trade show last year.
Too lightweight.
I say I can't fix that one.
Yeah. But currently I've had one, I have a 3X going for about 18 months actually this month. And before that I had one going for about 3.5 years. So we know people can get, if you take care of it and you're somewhat careful, it is durable. But if you take care of it, it can go about 3 years. Yeah.
You're doing mostly commercial too. That's just a little bit harder on the pole than some residential stuff.
Yeah, I got a 30-inch hammerhead on there for about 6 years, and I just switched over to the Riptide recently. But yeah, I have a lot of weight on the end of my pole, so I'm putting it to work for sure daily. Yeah,
it's different with different people. We just can't guarantee a certain longevity. Can give you an average.
Well, especially
based
since
on
the business has
feedback.
only been around, like more time needs to pass by. I think that this is the best material for a pool pole, but still time needs to pass to be able to see, how long it actually can last. And, maybe it's 5-10 years, something crazy like that. And all you really need to do is, this to the pole to keep it lasting even longer.
Right.
So, just things that you learn with time.
So, I mean, what are some of the most commonly asked questions you guys get?
Initially, what's funny is, what is this stuff? At trade shows, what the heck is this thing? So yeah,
The carbon fiber.
That's typically I
actually, the first time I ever heard of carbon fiber, we were just talking about earlier, is Fast and Furious 2. I mean, that's the generation who grew up watching those movies, and I always wanted that purple Eclipse with the carbon fiber hood. They made him. They emphasized that carbon fiber hood quite a bit in that movie. But anyways, yeah, what is this stuff?
I don't even know how you would answer
what
that.
is this?
It's a pool pole. I don't know. What else could this be? Are we looking at the same thing here?
Yeah, I think maybe they realize it's a pole, but it's like, what is it? That's right. What I usually do is my trade show song and dance is I extend the pole, I put the tool end on the ground, I put one hand on if it's a 3-piece, I put 1 or 2-piece, I put one hand on the small pole, the other hand on the large one, and I just bend it into the ground as hard as I can, because I can't, I try to break it. That's what I do. And there's somebody probably strong enough out there that they could probably break it, but most guys can't break it. So that's what I'll do. I'll hand somebody at the trade show a pole and let them just bend it, just bend it. Go ahead, try and break it, bend it.
Yeah.
And, they do it and they go, whoa, that's this, sold.
I'm gonna say we all seen this the Joe Senior song and dance at the show.
Oh yeah.
Or on the Instagram.
Yeah, you've probably seen it. But and then they hold it in their hand and it's like, whoa, this thing is super light. It's 2.5 pounds. We got a guy, Billy Brown in Simi Valley. He made a little video. He said, yeah, I take this thing and I whip it around like a Jedi warrior, man. I love this thing. It's like a
nice.
My Jedi lightsaber, but that's how it feels in your hand. I mean, it's fully extended and you're just like, whipping it around, but it's super strong. So, that answers a lot of questions that, when you talk about asking,
how
what
strong
is this
Where's
thing?
the
Okay,
I think
here, this is it. This is carbon fiber. Feel it. That's the best I could do to illustrate, strength.
I think something we get asked sometimes is, does it get hot and cold? Which I think we went over quickly, but the temperature of the pole doesn't get super hot or super cold. Like its temperature will fluctuate, like anything,
Sure, like
but
anything will.
not like metal. So if you're working in really cold climates, like holding a really cold pole in the morning, reaching into cold water, having a pole that isn't freezing cold and transferring all the coldness in your hands, it makes a difference.
Yeah, that's a huge difference, because here when it gets to 110, 115, everything is just, it'll give you like 3rd-degree burns. Put your seatbelt on or something like that. So even just taking a few degrees off of, because some of these poles are dark and you can't have a black pole and expect it not to get a little bit warm. Taking a few degrees off that, I'm sure that helps a lot.
Definitely, yeah.
Do you get asked quite a bit about the lever lock?
Yeah, that's one thing that comes up just because it's so different than what's out there. And usually people are like, what is this? How does it work? Number one, but how long does it last? Does it hold up as well as the pole does? And actually, yeah, it does. That's part of the reason why we picked, it's a Fisker's lock. And part of the reason we picked it is because we knew it had a good reputation of standing up to a lot of wear and tear. But
I just say it's bulletproof. That's the way I say it. No, this thing is bulletproof, and it's as tough as the rest of the pole. It's just really, really well made.
It does take some getting used to. I remember a conversation you and I had a long time ago about, I can't, my hand keeps hitting this lever, and I've gotten much. I mean, I use it on my pool all the time now, so it's not a problem. But it takes a minute if you're used to the cams or, the pop locks. It's like it's just a little different, but it's cool. It works. I like how quick access it is. I mean, it works really well.
Yeah, and it has like a little nub where you would snap that lever lock down. And you don't really need to. I mean, you do when you're transporting it, but otherwise you basically, you don't snap it down every time. We have to actually explain that to people. You just push it down against that nub, protruding nub, and then you're basically flipping it up with your thumb or your finger.
Freeze the lever up enough to where you can kind of keep your left hand on the lock, and you can flip it open and close just with your thumb.
Yeah. It's really well designed. It has for a little 3/8 of an inch dual surface cam. It has a really powerful clamping action for the amount of leverage that you would have to put on that lever. Really pushes down easy for the amount of strength you get out of it.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten asked, like, does it splinter too? I think everyone has the experience of touching an old filter, like a fiberglass filter, and getting the fiberglass in your hands.
Yeah.
That's not the experience you'll get from the pole. It is fiberglass wrapped. Maybe you can explain how it's wrapped a little bit better.
There's fiberglass in it. Getting technical is something. It can be kind of boring, but we usually just tell people it wears down into a powder, it doesn't splinter, and that usually kind of alleviates everyone's worry or concern about, because I mean, if anyone's ever worked with carbon fiber before and getting a splinter, it's become a serious
kind of
injury
splinter you could ever have, and if you did break your pole, now it's really it's a dangerous thing that you want to keep hands free. Splintering off in your hand and that kind of thing. It's got a hard baked fiberglass coating on it, and it powders off just like Joseph says.
So no
it could be slightly irritating, I mean, but you're talking about a pole that's probably many years old to get to that point. And and then it's time to buy another pole. I mean, it can't last forever. It's
you guys need to make some money, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we can get you 2 or 3 or 4 lifetimes, more than your standard pole, I mean, I think we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
But you have different versions as well. It's not, you have a shorter one, you've got a longer one, you sell extensions, there's other things, and you need a different pole for different scenarios, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Just in this last year, initially the 3X was our tri-pole, our flagship model. And then we had so much demand from people asking, hey, you're going to put out like a traditional 8x16. So we developed that last July, right? Last summer?
Wow.
June, July?
Gee, time
I think it's
passes
been that
quickly.
long already.
It seemed like it's been years.
Yeah, already. And then we made like a more compact version as well. So we have 3 official models, the 3X, the 2X, and then the 2X beta, we call it. That's its nickname. And depending on what type of service and what size pools you do in the industry, like if you just do spas and small residential pools, the 2X beta is great because it's super compact. And
goes out to
quick and easy.
what is it? It's like 10.5 feet.
Yeah, just about 10.5, 11 feet. And we got something for everyone, and it's a complete system along with the 6 and 8 foot extensions as well. So you can build off of all that as well. So if you're a guy out there with mostly small residential pools and spas, but you got one big account, that's 30,000 gallons, you can get one of our extensions and you can have it on your truck or sell it to your property, leave it on the property. And it's really happy with the fact that we have really a complete system, really, that can accommodate anyone's needs in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You could put up to, well, my setup, I like the 8x16 pole with an 8-foot extension that gets me out to 24 feet. And we deliberately design the extension system so that whatever length we would be adding to the pole would be the largest size dimension tube, as opposed to making, like a 3-part, 8-foot 3-part, because your smallest tube, that would be a really long tube to have a smaller tube. So when you're using the extension system, you're adding the full size, the largest tube forward. So then you can go out to, we've got people that are going out to 32 feet.
40 feet.
And even up to 40 feet. Yeah.
40 feet?
You can, for vacuuming, you could do that. It's not, because you get quite a bit of, power and leveraging that. You probably can't break it, but it's mainly for vacuuming. And we got people approaching us that do diving pools where they actually need 40 feet of reach. And there's another situation where they're spending, I don't know, they've got a 16x32 aluminum with a 12-foot extension, something like that. And this one guy told me at a trade show, he goes, if I hit one bump and it does a little whoop-de-doo, it bends the whole thing. I'm talking about aluminum setup.
Yeah.
And here I am, I'm going down to buy $250, a pole. So that's kind of where we're going with, the extension system. It's really sturdy. And actually it's amazing. There's a guy in San Diego that told me he was netting leaves up at 32 feet out. I go, really? You could do that? I didn't even know you could do that with my product. Because it's...
Yeah. Well, we were talking earlier, we had like one property and we bought them a pole, or I don't know if we charged them for it, I forget, but like we left it at this person's house behind their humongous waterfall because we couldn't reach it with regular sized poles.
Yeah,
and we didn't want the guy to carry it on his truck all the time because then it stuck out and hit the car behind him. So yeah, I mean, that's good for situations like that with huge waterfalls or negative edges you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I think as of right now, more pools than ever are being built and they're more complicated. And as we have swim up bars, they're going to have in-water benches. We've got vanishing edges with catch basins, all these different things. And there's a pool we had specifically that had the vanishing edge wall that was really difficult to reach out to. And we didn't have your guys' pool at this time. This was a few years ago, but it was really hard on your wrist and your arms and all those different things because we had to get it on the wall and we had to kind of brush it down all the way through. Mm-hmm. So it was really difficult, and we were thinking that not having the right tools for something like that and expecting a technician to clean that wall or brush that wall, it probably wasn't happening all the time just because it was so strenuous on their body. But having something that was able to be, lightweight and able to make that reach and, kind of keep a consistent line that you needed to make in order to clean it properly, that's just so, major. And there's a lot of areas that I'm seeing a lot of pools being built that there's not really a way to get to an area without using a pole, or I don't even know how else you get to some of these areas without, getting into the pool.
Diving in with a brush.
But there's some catch basins that we'd even see that weren't really, the surrounding area wasn't very safe, or it wasn't even very easy to get to. But most of the ones that we had, like, you could put a net out there and either get a chlorine floater, or you could brush it, or you could skim it, or any number of things from, the level that we are at. So that's something to think about as you're taking on more complicated pools. You're going to need more complicated tools. It's not a complicated tool, but it kind of rhymes. So
yeah, it sounded good.
There are those reach situations where you've got a waterfall, man-made rock waterfall. Then you've got a little bench or something like that right underneath it, and the builder's not thinking about, how's the pool guy going to brush this bench down here, So,
and those are really hard because it's like you can get to it, but sometimes if it's especially those swim up bars. They all have like the in water, like permanent, like bench that it's really hard to get around, and you can do most of it. But when you've got something that's heavy, and obviously with a reach, it's going to get even heavier. And there's just that resistance. But if you do have something that is lighter, you can really kind of, maneuver, so much better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if we mentioned this yet, but the extensions are also obviously very lightweight. You're only adding 1 pound per extension. So if you're, so say if you're using an 8x16 pole with one extension, you're at 24 feet and you're just under 3 pounds. So it absolutely
really take the strain
makes a difference
out of like a whole day of doing that type of stuff.
Right.
I was thinking a little bit about something that was kind of a pain in the ass was hooking up the vac head to a pole, because you usually sink your hose in and get it in the skimmer or dedicated suction, whatever. But having to like hold, the pole and, get the vac head on the pole and kind of, do that whole, dance. Having something lighter, I bet for something like that too, that helps out quite a bit. You hear people ever mention that?
I think just general, it's easier to maneuver and use. Yeah, so we hear all kinds of things, and especially a pretty big difference it's made with using heavy vacs, like you said, like the Riptide and Hammerhead for sure.
Yeah, we just came out with a 2-foot extension. I should mention this. We have a 6-foot, 8-foot, and guys were spontaneously creating a 2-foot extension for their bottom feeder. Yeah, but we have a 2-foot extension. That's what we made it for, because guys were they wanted a lighter version, because I guess it's a pain to slide your pole down into the chassis of that particular vacuum. So, announcement here on Pool Chasers. We have a 2-foot extension. It weighs 7 ounces, and it's just
strong
weighs
as
7
hell.
ounces. Weighs it's really, and that helps out. But as far as attaching onto different vacuums, you have to get used to our pole a little bit. It's a little thicker on the end because it's reinforced and so forth. So, but for the most part, it's easy to hook up and
Well, it's
take
definitely
off.
much lighter. I mean, when you're like you were talking about when you're trying to hook up, because I think you guys are referring more to those commercial vac heads, but like what I think he was getting at is like the residential ones where we have to like hold up the pole with your shoulder,
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
jam in that vac head is like difficult with those heavy poles.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I love to extend a P3, or 3-part pole, extend it all the way, and then just hand it to a guy at about, I don't know, on tube number 1. I said, "Here, feel that," and they're like, they've got the pole in their hand, it's fully extended, and they're just kind of swinging it around in their hand. They're just kind of like, "Whoa, this is very light,"
Can you make a carbon fiber vac head?
Well, we're designing.
Those things are pretty.
We're designing. You guys might ask this question in a few minutes, but we are designing some other tools that out of carbon fiber.
Oh snap!
Woo! Yeah,
watch out.
We got a guy that makes. Bike frames and all that kind of thing, and so we're working with him now. Should I say this? Yeah,
of course.
We're working on a net. We're working on a net and a superior net. Working on a tile brush right now. Those things are all created differently than tubing. The tubing is completely different, but this is, you would have to kind of mold shapes with that. So it's going to take a little while. It's not going to come out right away, but we here at Primate, we're creative. We're trying to, and a brush too, a better brush experience. And we've got some things going with, some prototypes that we made in the past that make, brushing out a pool very easy. So it's one of those, another dream, on the way.
There you go.
We really want. And that's a question that we get all the time. Hey, what are you guys coming out with next?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a natural thing. So we just want to we've got some other things in the tank.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Love it. Whatever it is that you make, maybe label what it's for. Like if you make a specific brush for, glass tile, acrylic, whatever you're going to use it for, like put on there somehow this brush, this net is actually used for. Because I think that's very important when it's, you have a product, but it becomes a teaching tool where you can train a technician and see, hey, when you get here, I'm not here, everything that you need to know is like, actually on this thing. This is what you use it for. But just something, we're constantly training new people out there. So let's talk about these bike handles that we keep seeing, because this definitely gives it a whole nother effect where this is like, it looks like a mod, something that you want to modify or put different color grips on and really kind of make it your own. So, where is this at right now, and where did this idea come from?
Well, originally it came from Bob Spacey with Superior Pool Solutions, like one of your guys' Arizona locals. Just a good guy. Like he was one of the first guys to invest in Primate last year, and like, just all around great guy.
Yeah, we love Bob. He's awesome.
Yeah, I love him. He's someone that I keep in contact with like on a weekly basis. And I think like it's been this long, but last summer I think he kind of burned through his handle, and he's got a good friend that's into dirt biking and mountain biking, and gave him this ODI grip, and then he shot me some photos of it, and he's like, you guys should look into these handles because they just happen to fit on the P3X. It's the same size, so it's 20 to 22 millimeter for anyone out there. If you just you can actually use any BMX handle on the P3X. But so we got the idea from Bob, and we were pretty busy throughout last year bringing the new models to market and everything, and I didn't really have a chance to try out a lot of handles. But toward the end of 2019, just started picking them up and trying stuff out, and kind of liked how they felt and looked, and ended up finding the one that we went with, which has like a metal tip, and it's in our Primate Blue, so it looks pretty slick.
It's cool.
And we just went for max durability. I think one of the biggest complaints I think we had about the pole were people, first thing you do, you pull your pole out of the car, or you lean it up against your cart while you're working, and you're just constantly grinding that handle down and into your tube. So, this pretty much alleviates that problem completely. It's metal tip. You can beat it up, bang the hell out of it.
Problem is, it looks beat up. It looks so good when it's brand new. So we're trying to find ways to harden it, harden the end of it, and maybe improve it a little bit too. But this is really beautiful looking grip.
Yeah,
everything's evolving all the time. But Bob is really the reason who gave us that idea.
Kind of spontaneously came.
Yeah,
and the bottom feeder extension came from customers too. It's like it was what would you call it? Bottom up, customer initiated product, or
I don't know.
You guys should have the terminology for this.
Sorry.
I'm not sure what word you're looking for.
Yeah.
Somebody Google this.
No, we got, we had people spontaneously making this out of like their old pole, like a 2-foot extension. We go, wow. And then who is it? I think it was Stephen. His name's Stephen Parham. Mm-hmm. Stephen Parham. And he goes, why don't you make that up? Why don't you make that one of your products? I go, yeah, why don't I?
Do you guys
customer driven? That's
there you go, customer driven.
Remember that now.
Now I know. Do you guys ever care if you see like somebody just like gets a handle of their preference and they put it on there? Does that ever bother you guys?
No,
because you guys are more
opposite.
Focused on the actual, the pole and everything else.
If somebody's customizing their pole and making it their own, like, more power to them.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's
We're
awesome.
all for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're actually doing some fabric wrapping on the poles. We have a Primate Patriot edition.
I saw that.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys have seen
that.
It's very cool.
Yeah,
Very cool.
Yeah. So It's basically the same pole. It's just wrapped with fiberglass over the fabric. Instead of a black fiberglass, it's clear. So it wears really well. And what are we doing? We're looking at camo. We're doing a camo one, maybe a ladies one with some flowers or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like that.
Yeah, so we're doing, and then also our label maker, the guy that makes our Primate label and that get baked into the pole. We're also looking at guys are sending us their vector files with their logo and
Oh, nice.
So, but that's very customized and time consuming. We're trying to create a system where we we can create an ordering system where if you want to order your pole with your logo baked into it and so forth, you could do that.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Like
that
Nike
is super
shoes.
cool.
Yeah.
You can customize your own Nike shoes.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet.
Not there yet, but
It's going to take a lot to set that up, but ultimately that's the goal. Is
It's a cool idea.
Yeah.
build your own pole at checkout type.
yeah.
type
And that's
thing. So we
another
want,
customer driven. I've had people, they buy 20 poles for their trucks and they want to put the truck number on the pole, that kind of thing. It's interesting.
Yeah, I could see if, especially your pole was branded, maybe somebody would be less likely to steal it. Or you'd have to figure out a way to get that thing painted pretty quick before,
That's a good idea.
Hey, Brothers Pool Service said they just had their pole stolen. I just seen somebody does not look
Posted on Instagram.
Yeah. Just bought my new pole. Yeah, we only had one of those.
Yeah.
We don't know you. Very good. So is there anything else you guys want to share? Anything new that has just come out or is, coming out new down the pipeline?
I think that's the biggest thing that we're focusing on right now is the new patterns coming out, and we're still, the handle is a newer customization. We're getting feedback from that and just seeing how people like it, how it's holding up, and there is a natural progression here. Like people kind of expect, what are you going to do now? So we are working on tools, and don't have anything to announce officially with that yet, but I think that's the next step. I think that's the next thing in the works. We want our own net. We want our own brush. We want to give people tools to depend on, or dependable tools that people can rely on, that live up to the strength of the pole. So
Yeah, we're redesigning the next generation of lever locks for the pole, for the 3-piece pole.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we're designing a new lever lock. That takes time too. So
Yeah.
but that's in the works, and it'll be retrofittable for our 3-piece pole. We wanted it super streamlined, and our third tube comes out, and has a single position. The snap lock, you have to extend it all the way, and so we'd like to create. I've already got the plans for that new lever lock, and then the new lever locks have some more strength designed into them, maybe a little more ergonomics, a little smoother edges, that kind of thing. So we're working on that.
I think the most important thing is you guys are always, wanting to get better, and that's, like you said, it takes time, but it's cool that you're open to listening and adapting and changing and, making stuff better. So
Yeah, sure.
It's working well, but we are responding to, if only this, this could be a little better. Well, then we're responding to that.
it's all you can
take
do.
care of our users for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. So how can people find you guys?
We're everywhere. We're on Facebook, Instagram. You can follow us there. You can find out more information about all of our products on primatepooltools.net. We also have a private Facebook group I would encourage everyone to join, because that's typically where I make announcements to everyone and special offers. Or you can give us a call always, 858-774-1712, and that's Joe Sr.'s number. Available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Call them right now. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for making the trip out here. We really appreciate it. You guys have been supporters of the show for a long time now, and we just want to say thank you. It's been an honor having you guys in the studio, and also just being, one of our supporters and sponsors. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing more from you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, appreciate you guys as well. Thank you
This is-
very much for having
This
us
has been
on.
great.
Hey, pool chasers, if you like what you heard today and want to try a Primate Pole out, go to primatepooltools.net and enter the code PoolChasers10 at checkout to get $10 off your order.
See you out there, pool chasers.